Yeah, well, we're very excited actually. We now have 80% of our constellation in space. The remaining elements of the constellation we expect to deploy. We have 2 more launches to go, which we expect to deploy in March, one with SpaceX and one with the Indian Space Agency. And that will give us enough coverage to provide internet coverage all over the planet. So we're very excited about that, as you can imagine. We're already in operation in 15 countries already, and customers have the chance to use it, play with it, experience it. And also, we've tailored our business model and our solution to work specifically for telephone companies. So that's the reason I'm here at the Mobile World Congress, because this is where all our customers are.
We think about your role in telecommunications, tackling rural, remote areas where typically it's hard to provide telecommunication services to. But the industry has changed so much over the past decade.
Yeah.
There are low-cost solutions, there's edge computing. It's not the same challenges of the past. So how do you fit into that landscape when your costs are so much higher?
Well, actually, in remote areas, we can, so take, for example, there'll be some announcements coming out whilst we're here. So take a country like Kazakhstan, for example, very big country, sparse population, but lots of mines, installations, and so on and so forth around the periphery of the country. So what we can do, and our proposition for the telephone companies is very simple. We can extend, essentially, their networks to reach these hard-to-reach places. We've demonstrated already we're serving communities in Alaska and Canada, mining sites, Air Force bases in Greenland. These are places where it's going to be impossible to lay fiber anytime soon. And so in those areas, we know we can provide a really good service. It's not quite fiber, but it's pretty close to it. And so we can provide that broadband experience for people even in these remote locations and level the digital divide somewhat.
Now, you are a UK company, I should say. The government rescued you from bankruptcy, yet the UK government, even as it looks into its opportunities around low Earth orbit satellites, it's turned to Starlink, which has a much larger constellation. Does that make a difference as we talk about competition, how competitive you are in this space, that you need to effectively expand the constellation to compete?
Well, the reason our constellation is the size it is because we're further away from the Earth, which has very low reduction in latency. So there's no real benefit from being at 500 kilometers. There's a disadvantage in the fact you have to have many more satellites. And so we also have trials going on with the British government. They're just not quite as publicised as some of Starlink's. And we do quite a lot of work with governments, some of which we talk about, and a lot of which we don't for obvious reasons.
Can I ask you about the trends that you're hearing about here and how they impact your industry? I mean, AI is such a huge buzzword at this stage, obviously 5G on the ground. What are the links and ramifications for your business?
Well, at the heart, all these technology trends are very strong demand drivers for us because they all rely on connectivity. And so we can provide connectivity where hitherto it has not existed. And also in cases where there is fiber, I mean, take for example the awful events in Turkey. You have an earthquake, it breaks every single fiber connection that's there. We are the perfect emergency backup play to provide the essential connectivity for governments, for hospitals and for schools in those situations.